We are live, and you know what it is. If it is Sunday, it is Sippin On Sundays. And let me tell y'all something, man. I keep trying to tell y'all folks, I'm internationally known and locally loved. And this show right here is a little bit different. We usually go over the things that's going on with HBCU land. But Zoe, the show is called Sippin On Sundays, specifically sipping in North Jackson. And this right here, what we about to do, Zoe, now you know my boy Zoe. This is my little brother, North Jackson little brother, Callaway's finest. But Zoe, let me tell you something. When I see certain people that I have known since I was in elementary, and they become a Black College Hall of Famer, they got to come on the biggest show on Sundays. 18,000 people that sit back there watching and things like that, they got to come on. So I had to make a phone call because, I know people. And I have to let people know, see, everybody wants to talk about who they are. Wait a minute, that's me. Hold on, I'm sorry about that. This sound going back. They're trying to stop me from being great. Hold on, y'all. They stop me from being great. Anyways, I had to call because one thing about Zoe, we hear so many negative things about Jackson. We hear so many Jackson ain't this, Jackson ain't that. But I tell you one thing, it's just one thing about it. When I was at FAMU, and I went to school with the folks from Miami and stuff like that. But so you know what? When you used to come up there and we watched them games, I said that's a Jackson, Mississippi product right there. So they didn't know about Jack till I got there. Had to let the Miami boys know. And then when I seen my boy play for the Cowboys, I said, y'all know that's Jackson, Mississippi product. This is my guy right there. So that's what we're about to do. So Zoe, listen, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to bring it just like this. I'm going to start off. North Jackson legend. JSU all-century team.
No.
Jacksonville Jaguar ring of fame. Black College Hall of Famer. My guy. And guy we're going to talk to tonight. Jimmy Smith. There he is.
Thank you guys for having me.
What's going on, Jimmy?
Thank you. What's going on with you?
Bro, listen. Hey, listen, man. Like I told you, man, when I reached out to you, man, first of all, congratulations on being part of Black Hall of Fame. That is a really big deal. That is one of those Hall of Fames. It's hard to make. I think a lot of people don't understand. It is a lot of people that have not made that Hall of Fame. And to see you to come in at this time, man, I'm super excited, man. I'm super happy for you, man. And this is one of those shows that I think is just important, man, because I think we in the HBCU family got to support our own. You know what I mean? I see the guys from Miami had their thing, the guys from Texas and Alabama, and all of them had their thing. But, man, we got to promote our own, man. And you are literally one of our own. Like I say, North Jackson Finest, we call the show Sippin On Sundays is a little double entendre, you know what I'm saying? Mississippi, Sippin On Sundays is Sunday. Have a little drink, a little talk and stuff like that. But Jimmy, man, we're gonna get into it. But I'm gonna let Zoe, because let me tell you something about this young fella Zoe. Hey man, this young fella Zoe know them stats about you, man. So Zoe, go on, get your introduction into our guy.
Yeah, look, man, I want to start off definitely say congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Being a Jack State great, and I always look at you as the bridge, right, or the demarcation point for all the JSU greats. And the reason why I say this is because before you, there was a tidal wave of all the JSU greats, and you are the demarcation point to the new era, to what we stay in now. And we see the transition of Jack State players that's came since you left. And being that you left in 1990, we could look at the number of players that's been drafted since that time, but also just the greatness within the conference and what they did to the NFL. Because you are the last, we could say, great Jackson State player to make it to the NFL and have great success, sustained success.
Yeah.
And so, man, we'll get into it, man, because we always talk about. We always get into you know what I'm saying, how and what you look like your entire collegiate career. And I'll actually get into the stats, man, for a second here. 1 second here, man. Just like we look at your total career, man, you had 100, prime example. You had 110 receptions for 2,073 yards and 16 touchdowns for your entire Jack State career.
Yes.
Now, when you read that stat line, that sounds like in today's college, almost like a single season. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And so, there's this this stigma saying that like if you go to an HBCU, you have to have these ungodly stats to get attention and to get drafted. And I've always stood on the bridge saying that's not true. You know, I was like, they look at what Steve McNair did, basically saying that, oh, the only way he can get drafted was put up those ungodly stats. I said, no, that's not necessarily true. What it comes down to is that you have to have, number one, the measurables. You know what I'm saying? And Jimmy, you had those. You had the measurables. But on top of that, man, you got to have the measurables. You got to have the goods. And you just have to have a team fall in love with you. Because, again, if we go back to your senior season, Jimmy, you caught 43 passes, 43 balls for 801 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
3 touchdowns in your senior season. You go back to your junior season, you have 40 catches for 877 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Right.
But the thing is, man, when they saw you on the field, going back to your freshman year, which I remember the game against FAMU. Oh man, I remember it. I remember like yesterday. And with the great Lombardi and
Charlie Neal
on the call,
right?
You know, watching that game. But I also remember, man.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. We get some static. I think it's from you. I think we get a little bit of static. Check that real quick, because you're talking some good stuff. But we want to make sure people, because I definitely hear it on my sound. Can't hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Better?
I think that, yeah, that's
okay. And so you know, we see we go back to, you know, what it looked like. And I remember transitioning to the NFL, man, you get drafted in the second round with those same stats, which is unheard of, right? You come from Jack State, but again, it goes back to the pedigree that Jack State had prior to you getting there. And then again, you're talking about, you know, saying get drafted in the second round to the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys, you know, with Michael Irvin and all those other greats. And then you get there, your rookie season, and you have an issue. Well, I think it was with your abdomen, right? Okay. And you transition, and I believe
Jim, I think it might be you. Hold on, wait. Hold on, Jim. I think that static is you. I think, because I just muted you. Hold on, let me say something. All right, so you don't hear the static, right?
No, I don't hear anything now.
Okay, so yeah, I just muted Jimmy, and Jim, I think it's the static. I tell you what, Jimmy, why don't you do this? Why don't you try to come back in real quick, because I think it just might be the connection on your end. Because when I muted you, I don't hear the static. So why don't you try? Because we want to make sure we get you right, man. Because I want people to hear this, if you don't mind.
You hear static?
So why don't you pop
static
just
right now?
log back in and log back out? I do.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay. Hey, Briz, thank you, man. Listen, man, Sippin On Sundays, man. Listen, we got Jimmy Smith. We want to make sure. Oh, they say y'all saying it's me? You guys hear the static now? Because I don't hear it.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah. Do you guys, hey, guys in the chat, we appreciate you. Do you hear the static now while I'm talking? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you hear static.
No, it's clear now.
Yeah. I think it was just Jimmy's connection, which is no problem. Yep. That's what I thought. No problem. Yeah. We'll get it together, man. Listen, man, it's Sippin On Sundays, man. You know what it is. Off Script Network. Rocket Miller channel, man. Please hit the like button, man. We got a really big show for you. I think let's see if we bring Jimmy back in, because we want to make sure we got him tight and everything, because he deserves that. All right, Jimmy, say something.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay, yeah, that sounds better. I don't think we got anything.
Okay.
Oh, we got it. So yeah, so like I was saying, you know, you actually end up getting to the Cowboys. You know, you had the injury.
I tell you what. Yep. Hold on. Jimmy, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mute you, because I don't know if wait a minute. Do you have us in the background like on YouTube or anything, or you just on the phone?
I'm just on the phone. Yeah.
Okay. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna mute you for a second. Okay. Let Zoe finish. Then I'll bring you back in, because we still getting that static.
Okay.
Huh?
Sounds good.
Hold on, Zoe. Yeah, I think it's. I don't know why we're getting this. See, so we're gonna be great tonight, man. We're gonna be great tonight. All right, hold on. We're gonna test something real quick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put Jimmy on mute, and so you go ahead and talk. And Chad,
Okay,
let me know if you hear the static.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. We good. We just mute one so he ready to speak. Okay. But
all right.
But like I was saying, it got to the Dallas Cowboys, had the abdomen injury, required surgery. Thought his career was gonna be over with, and then was actually on ice. If I remember correctly, you let me know if I'm wrong. I think he was on ice for like 3 full seasons before he even transitioned over to Jacksonville, right? Being into their expansion season. And so you think about that. You look at all the great stats that he's put up in his entire career and understand that he was behind the curve. You talk about, hey, not even just saying I didn't really play my rookie year, but hey, I didn't play for 3 full seasons, but I'm in NFL, but I'm not playing. You know what I'm saying? So think about where his numbers stack up with all the guys that's in the Hall of Fame right now. He didn't even play really his first 3 years to actually go in what he did. But I want to get back into all the Jack State stuff, man, because let me tell you, I remember, being down in Baton Rouge, and Southern broke our 28-game winning streak, right? For homecoming. A lot of people don't know that we played Southern for homecoming.
Yeah.
In 1989.
Yeah.
And Southern under Jerry Kimball came and beat Jackson State. Yeah. And let me just tell you, bro, the very next year we go down to Mumford. In 1990, man, we go to halftime. It was 42-7 at the half. Sean Gregory was throwing bombs to Jimmy Smith all first half. I remember. I think if I remember correctly, I think the final score was like, I want to say it was 52-13, something like that. But it was all I remember. It was 42-0 at the half. Man, let me tell you. I mean, it was bombs over Baton Rouge. I remember they came with that in the Clarence Legend the next morning. Bombs over Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
And I just remember, man. So we had those great performances, and the scouts was coming. So again, that was the segue to leading him getting drafted. And so my point is, just think about that. We talking about a FCS player with Division I AA at the time, at a HBCU, and I'm talking about drafted really, really good in the second round. You know what I'm saying? Like dead smack to the top half of the second round to get drafted, and only caught 40 balls. So just think about that. Yeah. Like that's how strong it was for Jack State. So again, if you good, they're gonna come get you. And Jimmy Smith, the last great player to have those accolades and to reach the amount that he actually reached. So imagine want to say kudos to you again. Congratulations on making it to the Black College Football Hall of Fame, man. It was so rightfully deserved. And I'm just hoping and praying we can get everything rolling to get Jack State in the rightful place to get Jimmy Smith to be the 5th Jack State Tiger to make it to the National Football Hall of Fame. I'm hoping on the senior vote right now. And actually get Harold Jackson as well. And Jack State could be far ahead in front of everybody when it comes to NFL Hall of Famers, where we actually lead the way with 6. And when we get to that number, Steve, you're talking about outpacing a lot of powerful programs, bro. So again, kudos to you, man. You deserve it.
Thank you. Well, it goes back to that old saying, it's not where you go, it's what you do when you get there. And I didn't have many Power 4 offers, but my parents went to Jackson State. Mom and Dad, they were alum, and I wanted to go to Jackson State coming out of Jackson Callaway, and I stayed right there at home and had plenty of fans right there in the city who watched me at Callaway. They can come right over to Jackson State and watch me. But it was I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. Being at Jackson State, that HBCU life is unmatched, and it was great to play for Jackson State and great to play in front of the sun and boom of the South.
Jimmy, I'm gonna tell you something, because like I say, man, this is the homecoming for me and you. Listen, man, Sippin On Sunday, Mr. Campbell, Zoe Phillips, Jimmy Smith, Black College Hall of Famer, soon to be NFL Hall of Fame. So listen, man, I'm gonna give y'all a little inside story. So Jimmy and I went to elementary and junior high together. And let me tell y'all something. We played in that Catholic League, and the Catholic League was pretty tough. And Jimmy, as a 6th grader, was the best player in Catholic League. And let me tell you something what's funny about this. You know how you see a guy. So let me tell y'all. So Jimmy was a year older than I am. Jimmy was in the 6th grade. I'm in the 5th grade. So we played safety, and Jimmy played wide. I didn't play on the offense. I just played defense. Jimmy and I were safeties. But Jimmy was so fast and outran everybody. The white folks got mad. Especially over there in St. Richards. Shout out to St. Richard. And they were like, they went to check to make sure that we all went to school together, right?
Yeah.
But Jimmy, listen, we were in the 6th grade, had a passing offense because Jimmy was that good.
Yeah.
Jimmy was catching pass. You know, come on now. And you don't do that in elementary and junior high. So here was the thing, though. So when Jimmy moved up to 7th, 8th grade team, I took his spot, right? Wide receiver catching passes. Then I came over Jimmy, we played safety again. And then Jimmy went on to St. Joe. I did the same thing. Jimmy goes to St. Joe. Shout out to Mr. Coach Rayfield. And they didn't treat
Say it right, the old St. Joe too.
Yeah, the old one.
The old St. Joe. They didn't treat, and my mama had heard it, and I say, I won't play football. She said, you heard what they did to Jimmy? Now, Jimmy's the best player. Listen, the best player as a 9th grader. And they didn't want to play with boy. So Jimmy, I brought
your
that back.
mom heard about it?
Listen, boy, come on, your mom and dad, they all knew each other.
Yeah.
This was, because all the Holy Family parents knew each other. This was a big deal, you know, and stuff. And this is the 80s, man. All our family came up marching and stuff like that and stuff like that.
Yeah,
yeah. Our parents didn't play that. So so Jimmy, let me ask you, I say that to set this up. When did you start feeling? Because I don't know, Jim. Do you know Ken Wells? Because Ken was in your class. He played baseball for Callaway.
Yeah.
Okay. You and Ken were street legends. And what I mean by that, people knew that Ken had that athletic ability. When did you realize at a young age that you were like, you know what? I'm a little bit faster. I'm a little bit better than guys my age.
Yeah, I knew it early on, probably age of 8 or 9 years old. I grew up in Ashley Circle, which is off of 49. I don't know if you remember, Steve, right down from President Hills. And we had, in our neighborhood, we had Paul Smith, Mike Jones, Cedric Love, David Thompson, about 6 of us. And we battled. We played basketball. I'm talking about hard battling and played football. But I ended up being pretty fast in my neighborhood. So I knew at a very young age that was pretty good. Another time when I was actually, this was before I got the Holy Family. I went to what was the name of that school? John Hopkins.
Yeah.
May have been John.
It's not John Hopkins, but I know what you're talking about. Hopkins Elementary. Yeah.
Hopkins Elementary. Yeah.
I was about to say, John Hopkins or G.N. Smith, one of the two.
Yeah, and I had a teacher named Miss Hattie McLean, and she tells a story when I was about 8 years old, how we used to go out for recess, and there was a ball, and none of the kids were playing ball. All the kids were running around, touching each other, running around, just kind of, playing on their own. But I would take my football and go way down to the end of the field, and I would throw the ball up as high as I could, and as far as I could. And then I would try and run and go catch my own ball. And I knew then that it was nothing that was going to stop me from playing on Monday Night Football in the NFL. I was that focused. And Steve, you know the history that we had at Holy Family. We used to go out at recess and play the game throw up. We just throw the ball up, and whoever catches it gets hit. And I was always scared to get hit, so my speed came in handy. So going back. I don't know if you want me to tell that story. What happened at St. Joe?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We had our 9th grade football coach. I can't remember his name. He had promised all of us that all the best players were going to get a chance to play in the last varsity game, which we were playing Utica or somebody like that. And me and a guy named Vernon Beeman, who played tennis. Vernon, I don't know if you remember Vernon. He went to St. Richard's, one of the white schools that we played against at Holy Family. He didn't play football, but he was very good at tennis. He's a dentist now down on the coast. But Vernon didn't care either way. We were the 2 hottest running backs, and I assumed that the school and the alumni at St. Joe were getting ready for us to play, the next few years in high school there. But, Callaway was the hottest school in Jackson at the time.
Say that one more time.
Callaway was the hottest school in Jackson. Everybody wanted to go to Callaway. Even people from Merle and Provine wanted to go to Callaway because that football team was ranked number 25 in the nation. The football was unmatched. The football team was loaded with talent. So going back to St. Joe, he had promised. He said all the best players are going to play in the last varsity game, and there was this guy named Jay Angelo that also came from St. Richard's, and he played fullback. That night, he was the only kid that got a chance to play. None of us black kids got a chance to play, man. And I was hot because I had my family there, mom and dad, and I was excited. I was like, I'm gonna do work on Utica when I get in that backfield. I played running back at the time. That whole night went by, and I'm talking to Vernon, complaining to Vernon, man, are they gonna play us or what? But they never did play us. And I remember going into the locker room after we had won that game, and it was the first time in my life that I actually stood up for myself, against racism or whatever they wanted to call it. And I was vocal about it. I was saying this in front of the coaches and everything. I said, look, the ninth grade coach had promised us that we were going to play. The only one they played was this white boy, Jay Angelo, and the fact that I didn't play or Vernon didn't play, I'm leaving here. I'm not even coming back here next year. I'm going to Callaway. What I say that for? Man, that next Monday morning, they pulled me out of class. I'm thinking I'm in trouble or something. Pull me out of class. I go to the principal's office, and it's the principal there, the vice principal, the whole staff. It was probably about 11 people in there. Coach Rayfield was in there, and they were all trying to play that intimidation. They're trying to intimidate me. So I'm sitting in there, all these people at this long table, like 11 or 12 people, and it was just me. And they were telling me all this. Well, we heard what you said the night before, Friday night, and we don't think that you're making the right decision. You're going to play here. I say, no, that's not the case. The ninth grade coach said that we were going to play, and the only one that y'all let play was the white guy, Jay Angelo. And you should have seen these people's mouths drop at the table. The fact that I was a ninth grader standing up for myself against racism and letting them know how I actually felt. It was the first time in my life I stood up for myself. And I said, I've already made my decision. I'm going to Callaway because I was already gone. And they weren't happy with that. And I remember Coach Rayfield, he's not here anymore, but I did not like Coach Rayfield. I love his wife, Mrs. Rayfield, but Coach Rayfield said, well, you do know that we're going to report you to the Mississippi Sports High School Association, so you'll be ineligible when you go next year in your 10th grade year to play for Callaway. I said, that's okay, because none of the 10th graders play anyway. And I walked out. I'm thinking I'm going to get kicked out of school or anything, but I finished school, left there, and went to Callaway. And what they did report me. They didn't have to. They didn't have to at all. But I wasn't going to play anyway in 10th grade. None of the 10th graders played at Callaway. Only the juniors and seniors played. And I remember that was the first time I really stood up for myself, and I went on to Callaway, and they did report me to the Mississippi High School Association for transferring from St. Joe to a public school, which wasn't the rule then. But I was ineligible. I sat out, which was fine. I dressed out. Coach Allman let me dress out, which was a treat for me just to have on that Callaway shimmer shirt and walk around rock around Jackson and, go to the Metro Center at the time with your Callaway shimmer shirt on. You had all the girls. I was like a celebrity with, yet that I hadn't even played it down yet for Callaway. And then here comes that next year, and me and another guy, I started, but I was alternate with a guy. So we alternated running the plays back and forth to Percibella, who was our quarterback at the time. And, man, the rest was history as far as high school. I was able to win some awards, be like a Dandy Dozen, top 40 recruit, all Metro. But one thing I use as motivation, and I pretty much still use it as motivation throughout my football career, is sitting down at the table with those 12 administrators at St. Joe and them trying to intimidate me and hold me back from my lifelong dream, and I wasn't letting that happen. So I use it as motivation throughout my entire career, believe it or not. So in actuality, I tell those 11, 12 people that were sitting at that table, thank you.
I still got my shimmy shirt too.
How about
you do? God, I'm thinking
about
going somewhere.
house.
I want to go somewhere and make me one.
And I was telling people about it because they got all these dry fit shirts and everything. So I we the last line to have our shimmy shirt. Do they stop like right here?
Yeah, man. If you had one of them shimmy shirts, man, and you lived in Jackson, you were the man. Because you go to the mall and all the girls from all the different schools, they're like, you play for Callaway? You see this shirt, don't you? Boy, you had them. You had all the women.
He ain't lying. And it was so funny. So here's the thing. So I'm in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
And like you said, Miss Rayfield is over there teaching. So Coach Rayfield comes and says, "Hey, Campbell, you gonna come play, right?" And I said, "Yeah, Coach, I'm gonna come play." Now, mind you, this is happening what you got going on. So when the summer practice get ready, to come through, I'm like, "Hey, Mom, I'm gonna go play." Mama said, "You ain't playing." I said, "What you mean I ain't playing?" She said, "I talked to Jimmy and parents, and they said they don't treat the black folks right." I said, "Are you serious?" And I think I saw you, and you told me, and I did not play another down of football. I played baseball, but I never played football. But the thing, but I like what you said, because Jim, this is important, and I think we joke about this, but we have a lot of young people that watch this, and you could have went one or two ways with that. You know what I'm saying? You could have been negative. You could have done things. But what you did, but see this, I'm gonna say this for y'all young folks. Our parents did not play.
No.
Our black parents during that generation told us to stand up for ourselves. So that Jimmy, I know you can, and I know your daddy, Shana, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We were instilled in that age because they came through them wars. And they were like, y'all, we gonna teach you how to handle this. So shout out to your parents, because that's where that came from, that they taught us at a young age to handle that. And man, for you, that was the best thing to happen to you. And for young people, I want you to understand, this is how you handle it. You don't run away from it. Jimmy didn't curse nobody out. He stood up as a man, and at 14 years old. Yeah. And like he says, it's the best thing ever happened to him, man. So man, I'm super proud that you told that story, because I knew the story, but I want you to tell it. Yeah, I'm telling you, I remember that day like it was yesterday. My heart was about to jump out of my chest. I was scared, being able to stand up for myself and talk to these administrators who had my future in their hands. And, when I began to stand up for myself, they had no comeback. They had no comeback at all. They couldn't do nothing but drop their heads and walk out there with some slow walking and with heads hung low. So they knew what they had did. And not only did I lead the team, I remember that entire 9th grade team, about 60% of the players did not go on the varsity. They either quit, maybe a couple of them went and played, but they never did, amount to anything on the varsity level. But they had St. Joe, we had a real nice group coming together, football wise. But I didn't really want to, stay at St. Joe. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all you heard was Callaway football. I'm like, man, I'm getting out of here regardless of what happens, So I use that as motivation to get myself up out of that situation. And now, Jimmy, you go to Callaway, and Zoe breaks it down, Dandy doesn't, and things like this. Were you shocked? But Callaway, and let me go back to, and this, I want you guys to understand. This wasn't like what you guys see, the spread offenses and things like this. Every high school was run dominant and things like that. So if you got a guy, because Jim, I think you remember what was that? Jerry Bolden down in East Florida. Remember Jerry? Jerry, I think was in your class.
Yes, he was with the Mississippi State.
Yeah. Man, shout out East Florida, which no longer in existence, by the way.
No way. East Florida, they don't have East Florida no more?
Now that East Florida, and Madison became Madison Central.
Oh, Madison Central. All them kids going to Madison Central. Okay.
Yeah, they merged those schools together to create Madison Central in 1994.
Yeah. Jerry Bolden. He was he was a top flight. He was another Dandy Dozen. We played in the Mississippi High School All-Star game. He became one of my good friends.
And Ricky Jordan.
His quarterback, Ricky Jordan, went to Jackson State.
Jackson State. Ricky Jordan and Ernest Payton, receiver that he had.
Right.
They came from East Florida. Yeah. And Ricky Jordan ended up being my quarterback my senior year.
Yeah, I tell that because Jerry Bowden was the only in the metro area that caught any balls that you were like, because they were throwing the ball down the East Florida. They were the only school in the whole metro area that was throwing the ball like that. Because them boys was tossing it. And we played East Florida, and it was so crazy because they used to call Jerry Jr. as in Jerry Rice. Right. Because he caught so many balls. So to see the fact that he went to Mississippi State and you went to Jackson State, and then look at your career, and nothing to get with Jerry, but it because everybody told Jerry to go to Jackson State, but of course, East Florida, Mississippi State, but a lot of people told him to go to Jackson State. So Jimmy, you get to Jackson State, and that's what I'm saying. Were you shocked that because you didn't get as many? Were you looking to say, hey, maybe Southern Miss, Ole Miss, Mississippi State? Were you shocked that they weren't recruiting you like that?
Well, now that I'm older, Ole Miss was recruiting me. What Coach Charles Allman was doing, he was it was Mississippi State recruiting me. No, it was Ole Miss recruiting me. Ole Miss was recruiting me, and Mississippi State were recruiting me, but I never got any of the Mississippi State letters because Coach Allman was taking the letters and throwing them in the trash. Yeah, Mississippi State. But I wasn't going nowhere. Yeah, this was my head coach in Callaway.
Yeah, but he was an Ole Miss guy? That's what it was?
Yeah, the money was coming in. We had several players go to Ole Miss. Yeah. Okay. We had several players go to Ole Miss out of Callaway. But dude, I just wanted the offers and the attention. But I knew where I was going all along because of my parents. They wasn't gonna let me go to no Ole Miss, bro.
Well, see, that's the thing when you said it, because I told Zoe this. In my class, it was a cat that played at Provine. He went down to Florida, play offensive tackle. But Jimmy, you noticed in the city, it was hard for Ole Miss to get anybody out of Jackson. Bruh. It was hard. Yeah, it was like, and Jimmy, and I want to set this up because a lot of young people don't understand. When we came up in Jackson State was the biggest brand in Mississippi. Seriously,
the biggest brand.
The biggest brand, and people, when I say that, Jim, and then I'm setting this up. I want you to explain to people because Jimmy, we're in this era. You got kids and stuff like that. Oh, SEC, this SEC. I said, let me tell y'all something. Jackson State, first of all, had more people going that game than any school in the state of Mississippi. Yeah, they had more Hall of Famers. They had more NFL players going. So it was nothing for anybody from Jackson. And when you, like you say, go to Jackson State, it wasn't no step down. That was like, okay, you lucky that you got recruited by Jackson State because of so much talent. Jimmy, talk about that era and the level with WC going, the players that you played with that were NFL players, the players that you, like you said, we grew up watching. And like for you, you didn't miss a beat. Like you say, it wasn't like, oh, I need to go to Ole Miss or Mississippi State.
Oh, not at all. With having parents, my mom and my dad playing football at Jackson State, being drafted in the 11th round to the Cincinnati Bengals. That's my household was all Jackson State. I can remember being a kid when Robert Brazile and Vernon Perry were playing for the Houston Oilers. That was when they were seeing nothing like that before. Two guys out of Jackson State playing on the same pro team, and they was balling. I mean, that was balling out of control. So I used to hear my mom screaming in the living room. I was running there and asked what happened. She's, Vernon Perry just got an interception, or Vernon Perry just got, Rob Brazile just got a sack. I mean, it was balling for Bum Phillips and the Houston Oilers. So all that throughout, I told Robert Brazile that at the Hall of Fame banquet, that history of my childhood, watching them, looking up to both he and Vernon Perry, and how they influenced my life, along with my dad, in attending Jackson State. Yeah, it was no way I was, especially after that situation that happened at St. Joe, there was no way I was going to Ole Miss or USM or Mississippi State or anywhere. I had learned my lesson at a very early age. And, Jackson State was the cream of the crop.
So Jimmy, quick question. So I would ask you a question. If you can actually count from the moment you got Jackson State in 1987 and you leave after 1990, going through all those teams, how many players can you estimate off the top of your head that actually got drafted to the NFL?
Out of Jackson State?
Yes, sir.
Well, now after I was drafted, we had Lester Holmes, who was a right guard.
No. I'm saying from 87 to 90. There's no
Oh,
you can do
87 and
this
90? Ooh. I mean, we were putting 3 or 4 players. I mean, at least
every year.
at least 2 to 3 players each year were getting drafted in the NFL.
All right, next question. You mentioned your dad getting drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Your dad, you're
Correct.
Jimmy Smith Jr., your dad's Jimmy Smith Sr.,
Yeah,
and your dad got drafted to the Cincinnati Bengals. And you stated that he got drafted in the 11th round, correct?
correct.
Do you mind telling the fine folks at home when your dad got drafted, how many other players from Jack State got drafted in that draft?
Oh yeah. It was 11, I believe.
It
I
was
want to
11.
say, was it 11?
It was 11 Jack State players got drafted in that draft, which still, as you and I speak right
Is a
now,
record.
is a record for all FCS programs
Yes,
as
yes,
we
yes.
speak. And it was the record for all colleges until the Miami Hurricanes broke it when they won their last national championship with 15 players drafted in the single draft.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
That year, yeah, my dad had a chance to. He also uh, got drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates in baseball also. So my dad was a 2-sport athlete. But yeah, he went to Cincinnati to the Bengals in the 11th round back then. And yeah, it was a lot of guys that went out there, and that record will never be broken.
Crazy. So, because a lot of people tend to think, most, FCS or HBCU draft picks, they're so few far in between. But we
Yeah,
talk about from an NFL draft standpoint,
yeah,
Jack State has the most first round draft picks than any other FCS program.
correct.
We've had more mid round picks than any other FCS program. So that pedigree still stands today, currently in the year of our Lord 2026. So the thing we're trying to do now is to, turn this ship if we can in this NIL era to get more players drafted from Jackson State. But you see, now we're having where we're getting players or former players who may have played at Jackson State that would have left to go on to another school to get drafted into the NFL.
Yeah, and that's the trend with the new NIL coming in. I think it hurts players being drafted, but there are players who have limited eligibility that will be eligible for the NFL draft next year. So we may have a couple of draft picks. Yeah, the NIL. Well, let me go back. When I was at Jackson State under W.C. Gordon, man, we had an all-star coaching staff who, they took great pride in developing the athletes. In this new NIL era, there's no developing, and you've seen it all across the board. I mean, even in the pros, these athletes, and you can't blame them. They're going to get the money, other than staying and working on being developed. And they are getting drafted into the NFL with basic fundamentals, no basic fundamentals. I'm with the Jaguars. I've been at their practices the last 2.5 weeks. I got to get up and go in the morning. These guys, man, I tell you, have no fundamentals. They're standing straight up at the line. Their stances are not down, not coming off the ball, not keeping their shoulders square. Those little things like that, which separates the good players from the great players. And I heard Andre Rison said today on one of his platforms how athletes are just not being developed in today's game, and it's strictly because of the NIL. They don't take time to develop or stay anywhere to develop. They're going to get the money, but you can't blame the athlete. You can't blame the athlete because a lot of athletes, that's all they got. Maybe 1% of these guys, maybe less than 3% of these guys each year are going to get a chance to go to the NFL. I saw it in the HBCU Legacy Bowl back in February. There's a lot of talent out there, but the NIL, these guys are leaving. They're going to get those checks, and I think they should, because a lot of guys won't make it to the NFL, and if they don't get the degrees, if they don't have anything to fall back on, that's all they're going to have. That money from the NIL, and my son is benefiting from NIL money now. He just got a check for like, I don't know how much he got, but he won't tell me. But he just got a check because he played at University of Louisville and University of Wyoming, and he's still getting paid. His last year was 2017.
Yeah.
So you can't blame the athlete. It's just it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it is fortunate for the athletes. But the development of the athlete is it's a thing of the past.
Now, Jimmy, listen, I don't want to, because I think this is important. You talked about a Hall of Fame coach. Why don't you let these folks know some of the coaches that was on that staff when you were at Jackson State?
Yeah, obviously we got the great W.C. Gordon, which is one of the best coaches I ever had. Basically because of his relationship with the players. He knew how to relate and connect with the players. But his coaching staff was second to none. We had Coach Cardell Jones, who was my offensive coordinator, who went on to be the head coach at Alcorn. We had Big Daddy, Coach Carlson. We had Judge Robert Hughes, who also played with my father. He went first round to the Atlanta Falcons back in 69, 68. He's no longer with us. But, I mean, it's just talent and first round and NFL talent all over the campus at Jackson State.
So, Jim, was Coach Markham there when you was there?
No, Coach Markham had left the year before.
Okay, the Alabama State.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So, I think that's just when you listen to what you just named. So, and Coach, like you said, Coach Markham had just left. So we're talking about what, 5 guys that end up being head coaches either at Jackson State or at other schools that you just named?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm about to say, remember you had was Coach Carson on the staff too?
Coach Carson was the defensive coordinator.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, and Judge Robert Hughes, he coached the kicking game, but he ended up being one of the Jackson State great coaches. So we had a lot of talent, but the main reason those coaches were successful is they developed. We spent very little time on plays and scheme, and most of our time on developing the athlete. And that's why you saw guys get drafted. And that answers your question, on HBCUs getting more guys drafted to the NFL. It's going to come down to the individual, them being developed. Like when I was there, I played with Lewis Tillman, Darian Connor. All these guys had great success in the NFL.
I sit back there, Jimmy, and you look at this, and this is what, and shout out to, I got a co-host. We have an HBCU Coaches Corner on Tuesday night, and he came in the Deion era. A lot of people, Jimmy, came in Deion, and I'm happy that Deion brought a lot of new fans. But I'm glad because one thing when I
hold up now, Steve. Hold up. He brought some fans, but we already had fans before Deion got
No. I'm not talking about Jackson State.
I'm
not talking about Jackson State. No. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about just bringing new eyes to HBCUs, not Jackson State. Jackson State always
national attention, national televised games, which we still have today.
Yeah, so I was saying that because my guy, he's a Big 12 guy, right? And he had no idea. I'm like, man, Jimmy played against Aeneas Williams and guys like that, man. You know what I'm saying? And Michael Strahan, those were the guys that were in the league. Houston Hoover was on his team.
Ashley Ambrose.
Ashley Ambrose,
Ashley Ambrose. I'm like, these guys are first and second rounders that was in the league at that time. Mind you, Steve McNair coming up behind you. So I had to explain to him. So for me and talking to you, and this, it was nothing we were not intimidated by the SEC. We did not look like, that was an SEC player. We grew up in an era that, again, when you looked at it, like you say, and you're naming names of guys, like I said, Rob Brazil. Of course, Walter Payton was at Chicago. Here's Jerry Rice. And we're talking about, we had guys that
Doug
were
Williams.
in the top. Yeah. Doug Williams. My senior year, your freshman year, Doug Williams was the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we saw that, when we looked at that, it was no intimidation. That's why when I got down to Florida A&M, and this is when the height of Miami, Florida State, and Florida, I was like, I ain't impressed. Now, mind you, Michael Irvin, now this is what I'm saying about And again, my guy, like I said, I know Puppet, all them my boys. But I'm like, that state had cats the same size. You and Michael Irvin literally were the same size.
Yeah. He's a little bit taller, but we was he had that dog in him. He had some dog in him. Yeah.
Well, hold on, because before Jimmy, Tim Barnett and Tony Kimbrough, like we had receivers. Tim Barnett went to the league. I mean,
Chris Burkett. Yeah.
Chris Burkett.
Stamps.
I mean, zip code stamps. I mean, I'm saying like we had. So that's what I'm saying. Like to Steve's point, it's not a misguided arrogance. It's like we've seen it before. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it in abundance. And so, like, you call our names, we call our names. And just, again, people just didn't realize that these guys were coming from the swag. Like when I mentioned Ashley Ambrose, I'm like, dude, he played at Valley. He left Valley, went to the Cincinnati Bengals, and was balling in the NFL. I was like, we had the swag was loaded in the early, in the late 80s. The swag didn't start falling off until, I would say, like 97, in regards to the talent decreasing. But when Jimmy was playing, especially, man, the 70s and the 80s, the swag was ballyhoo. Like I said, you had Jerry Rice, doing what he was doing, and then you got Ike Holt at Alcorn and then Alcorn DBs. And another thing, Alcorn DBs were the first like DBs in all of college football to really know about pressing on the line. Like Alcorn was the real first DBU, and we're not talking about one AA. We're talking about all college football. So again, like the SWAC had talent, loaded with talent. And so again, when Jimmy came out, the SWAC was loaded that year. You talk about players at Texas Southern, at Southern, at Valley, at Alcorn. Like the SWAC was loaded. But again, when you hear people who aren't familiar, they come in and they hear this like, oh my God, you got to be in delusion. Like, no, you're just misinformed. You're just not familiar with what we've seen.
Correct. Don't know the history.
Now, Jimmy, you get to the Cowboys. We talked about that. Zoe brought it up a little bit. I'm gonna move past that because talk about your reset and how it ended up you getting to the Jacksonville Jaguars and how that basically made you into the player that people know soon to be a future. Because I'm gonna break down why Jimmy Smith is gonna be a Hall of Fame. I got a whole presentation. I'm gonna bring that up. But talk
Jimmy
about
Smooth.
your time and everything. Exactly. Got the nicknames. So talk about that because you're talking about an expansion team and things like that. Talk about that when you got to Jacksonville, Jimmy.
Yeah, I didn't really want to go to an expansion team because I thought it was going to be like a revolving door of athletes. I wanted to go to an established team, as stupid as it sounds, because I didn't have a job at the time. But yeah, going to Jacksonville, I had to prove myself all over again. Labeled as a second-round bust by the Dallas Cowboys, but I was still a second rounder. There were a lot of people who helped me get over that hump when I got to Jacksonville. There's a guy named Larry Pasquale. He was a special teams coach at Philly the year before I went there. Ron Hill was a scout who was scouting for the Denver Broncos when I was at Jackson State. So these guys knew of my talent. And that, along with the binder that my mom had put together and made me carry to get to my coach, helped me make that team. It was a lot of hard work. It wasn't given to me. I had to earn it. But it got their attention. Coach Kaufman was a guy from Boston College. He didn't know anything about the SWAC. He didn't know anything about HBCUs. But he was very good as far as believing what was written on paper. And I think that binder that my mom put together had a lot to do with it.
Now, wait a minute, Jimmy. Now, wait a minute. Hold on now. Now, what was in the binder? Let's talk about that.
What's in the binder?
Mama.
Yeah, moms. When I was struggling after the injuries with the Cowboys and that 2.5 years, and then we go through the breakup of Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones. We all know how that went down. And Barry Switzer comes in. He didn't know anything about the team, and he just wanted his guys in there. So they just called me into Jerry's office one day out of the blue after a practice and just said, "Hey, we hear they call you Silk, but we just hadn't seen it yet." That's what Barry Switzer said to me. And he had only been there like a week or two, but so they offered. It wasn't an offer. They said, "Well, you're gonna have to take this pay cut because the system has allowed you to make this $350,000 by being drafted." I said, "I was a draft pick. You drafted me in the second round. So where's my money?" So Jerry, as you know, typical Jerry Jones is going to try to challenge the system, and uh, I was at the point to where I wanted a fresh start. So that ended my days with the Cowboys, and then I went to Philadelphia, which that was just a total debacle with Rich Kotite up there. Uh, got cut there, so I set out all of '94, and then here comes the expansion teams, and I fortunate enough, my mom say, okay. You got cut from Dallas, you got cut from Philly, so I'm going to put this binder together, which is all your clippings from Jackson State, everything you did at Callaway, that's your Danny Dozen, top 40 recruit, all Metro, all these accolades of clippings in a binder. So, and I was embarrassed. Here I am, 20, 25, 26 years old, going into a team meeting with a binder, and it's got all I need is a chance. Written on the top of it. So there was no way I was going to give it to the head coach. So I just gave it to the position coach, which the binder found its way to the head coach. And I think they had a lot on top of me working my ass off, had a lot to do with me making that team.
I wanted to touch on that because I knew that story, but I still wanted to say, man, the fact that number one, that your mom did it, but then number two, I can understand, visualizing you telling the story of being in your shoes, right? I think any man would feel some type of way of doing that. But yet, in fact, though, you still did it. Whether you whether you wanted to or you didn't, whether you wanted to or you didn't want to, you did it, and it still paid dividends. I always love the fact of you being able to tell that story because, again, you still did it. You know what I'm saying? And it still, I believe, really paid dividends for you.
It did. It did. It was, now that I'm older, I can look back, and my mom's right. She's like, them folks don't know you down in Jacksonville, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
They take this binder so they can find out they can read about who you are. You're different. You're not like the other guys. You're different. You ain't no second round bust. Take this binder with all these clippings down here and let them read it. And I was embarrassed. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. And I honestly believe, after meeting Coach Coughlin and him being my coach and finding out that he was big on anything that was on paper, he believed it. And that had a lot to do with me making that team.
And look, since you're talking about mom and dad, man, shout out Pilgrim Rest.
Oh, yeah. Good shout out. Good shout out. Reverend Canada.
Uh-huh.
So Jimmy, you get there, like you're saying, you fight for your life. You just want to make the team, and then you get an opportunity to play. Now, mind you, like you say, you're on the expansion team. Now, I'm gonna say this again. When did it click for you? When did it click for you? Say, you know what? Yeah, I'm that guy in that binder. When was it? Was it the game or was it a part of the season when you start feeling because you're healthy now, your mind is clear? When was that you say, you know what? Like I said, as I tease you, like you said you were in the 6th grade, 5th grade, and you kind of knew. 8th grade, you kind of knew. When did it click for you in the NFL like that?
It clicked for me after the first inaugural season with the Jaguars, because I finished with 22 catches and 5 touchdowns the last 5 games of the season due to guys being injured. We had Cedric Tillman, who went to Alcorn.
Mm-hmm.
There's another SWAC guy who had gotten drafted in the 11th round to Denver, but he was there in Jacksonville with me. He had gotten injured. Ernest Gibbons, which is all-pro wide receiver from the Houston
Oilers.
Remember Ernest Gibbons? He had gotten hurt. So we were down to like 3 or 4 receivers. So I was starting the last 5 games. So I realized then the last 5 games of that first season that, I'm that dude. But in the off season, I'm starting, and they bring in Keenan McCardell. He's on the other side, and then right after Keenan McCardell, they bring in Andre Rison, which knocked me from number 1. Keenan was number 2. It knocked me all the way back to the 3rd receiver. So I go from the number 1 receiver to the 3rd receiver with Andre Rison being signed by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that right there, boy, that rubbed me some kind of way. Not Andre's fault. He got to come in and get his money, but it just, I'm like, okay, I've seen this before. You know, I played behind Michael Irvin. This ain't Michael Irvin. This Andre Rison, different type of receiver. Andre just didn't fit in with the team that we had. He's a friend of mine. I talked to him a lot. He didn't fit in. He didn't like being down here. So I knew it was just a matter of time before, uh, he wasn't going to be around. So they kept him until the 8th game of the season, and they had no choice but to start me because I was just balling out of control. I mean, the first 8 games of the season, I was leading. I'm the third receiver. I'm only going in on third downs now. This is the second season. This is 1996. I'm the third receiver. Do you know 8 games into the season, I was leading the entire AFC in yardage and first down catches. Nobody knows that. And I'm a third receiver. I'm leading the AFC in yardage and third down catches for first downs. I'm leading the whole AFC. So that ninth game, I said, I'm here. I'm him. I am here. And I'm closing the gate behind me. Ain't nobody coming in and taking my position. This is it right here. And from then on, that's the point right there, Steve, when I realized that, boy, I'm the guy. And ain't nobody going to take it away from me.
And so, Steve, I would say we talk about Ocho Cinco, right? And Ocho Cinco is known for his quick feet, which he has amazing quick feet.
Yeah.
But before him, it was Jughead.
Yeah,
the thing was he was known as he was going to route you up, but he was going to beat you in the phone booth.
Yeah.
And I always go back if I think of one highlight, I always go back to I think it was the playoff game when you caught that pass. You had just beat the cornerback for that touchdown when you dove in for it. They caught the pass in the
divisional playoff. Just Denver, yeah.
I always go back to that play because that was Jimmy Smith at Jackson State. That was Jimmy Smith at Callaway.
Yeah.
And he just pretty much transitioned it because he beat the DB in a phone booth and got a touchdown from Brunell. But I want to say this and I'll be quiet because I want you to speak to this. We speak to all these receivers from when you were in the league even to now, and this is more of a pass happy league. But the one thing they don't talk about, and this is why I always say, I always like to try to be a mouthpiece for our athletes. If you go back, when we talk about the greatest defense known to man, it's always the Chicago Bears. After that, it's the Baltimore Ravens. Jimmy Smith, I want you to tell everybody what you did to the championship Baltimore Ravens defense when you were playing.
For some reason, everybody was, they had mad respect. They were loaded on defense, but that Baltimore defense was a cupcake to me. And I'm not just talking about in the year 2000 when I had 15 catches, 291 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The year before, I had 10 catches, almost 200 yards. They don't talk about that. The year before, up in Baltimore on that same field, I had 10 catches. Me and Keenan went over 100 yards. So me and Keenan was known as a dynamic duo. And let's be honest, we used to pump the Baltimore Ravens defense like none other.
And please tell everybody the DBs you will face. There was Dwayne Starr, Chris McCallum.
He was a first rounder out of the U, out of Miami.
Yep.
And on the other side, it was Chris McAllister, who I think he was out of Maryland, first round out. So they had 2 first round corners. They had Ray Lewis. Ed Reed wasn't there yet, but they had Tony Saragusa. They had, it's the best defense of all time. But not in my mind, not in my colleague Keenan McCardell. Look here. Boy, we couldn't wait. We was chomping at the bit to get to them Baltimore Ravens.
And let me add this. Mark Brunell was a great quarterback for you guys.
Yeah.
But in the big picture, Mark Brunell is not seen as the type of quarterback when we talk about quarterbacks of today or even in that even that time when you were playing that was like, oh, he's the top 3 quarterback in the league. No. I mean, he was a great quarterback in Jacksonville, but when we look at it, you guys were getting these numbers the way you was getting it because if I remember correctly, you led the AFC in receiving 9 straight years, I think. I mean, it was you had nine straight 1,000-yard seasons if I remember correctly. But again, and this is all coming from the same quarterback. But again, in the big picture, Mark Brunell was not looked at like Peyton Manning or all the elite level quarterbacks.
Well, Mark was my guy, and Mark will tell you right today that it was basically me and Keenan. He'll tell you. He says it all the time. And I appreciate him for that. But we had great chemistry, and Mark was a left-hander, and he could sling it. That's all I needed somebody to do is just get it out there. He was able to do that, and he's in the Jaguars Ring of Honor also. So
rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. He was a good quarterback. But you know, but we just had great chemistry, me and Mark, and we had to work to get it. And it came from day in, day out of hard working together.
Now, Jimmy, here's the thing, and I want people to understand. Hey, shout out, hey man, this is Sippin On Sunday. Special guest Jimmy Smith, Black College Hall of Famer, JSU All-Century Team, North Jackson legend, man. Me and Zoe Phillips on the Rocky Mill channel, Off Script channel, man. We are having an in-depth discussion on a future Hall of Famer. But Jim, I want to talk about some couple of things because again, we're sitting back there and there were names, Rice, Carter, Andre Reed, things like that. But then it was always your name right there with them.
Yeah.
Every time. They could never not mention you, no matter what they wanted to do. Because you say, and nothing against Jacksonville, because at this time, I think people gotta remember this is early in the 90s. Yeah. This is a expensive friend. This wasn't a lineage like the Cowboys or the 49ers or the Redskins or the Bears. This was a team that, again, people didn't even know how to pronounce it sometimes, you know, and things like that, or even the colors. But you put them on the map, and the way you got with Coach Coughlin, like I said, making playoff runs, upsetting people, things and like that. When you sat back, was that also part of your motivation when, you know, there were names put out there and like I said, you knew that you were just as talented? Was that also a part of your motivation to always play well?
It was a big part of my motivation, and also my colleague Keenan McCardell. You know, we have these talks all the time. Yeah, those guys are playing for established teams like the Cowboys, 49ers. They may be more polarizing. They were more polarizing because they played in bigger markets, bigger fan bases. But, man, we were putting up them numbers. And it was no denying it. And we were putting up the numbers against those very teams that I just mentioned, them Cowboys and 49ers and Baltimore Ravens. We were putting them numbers up. And, you know, when you put up numbers like that, you don't have to say nothing. Let your numbers speak. And that's how I've always been. I never chased the cameras. You know, there were a lot of guys, you know, T.O. and Chad and all them. They chased the cameras. We didn't chase the cameras. We just went to work.
Went to work. And but you know though, Jim, but this goes back to, like I say, you know, shout out to your parents again. I know your parents. That work ethic. Yeah. That came from your parents.
Oh yeah.
Because your parents worked. And your mother understood. And this is why I'm saying why I think this is just important for people to understand. And I want people to understand this. That your mother, with that work and knowledge of life, being black, so you know what? What do they always tell you? You got to be 2 times better. You got to be 2 times better.
You're right. And, you know, I didn't mention, we were talking about St. Joe earlier. You know, my mom was the first black teacher at St. Joe.
I knew that too.
Yeah, she's the first black teacher ever at St. Joe. See, so yeah, she, you know, when you got 2 parents, you know, your dad's a 2-sport athlete, your mom's an educator, and both of them realize the importance of real life and what it's going to take for their little black son to make it. You know, they installed a lot. You know, there was a reason I went to Holy Family. There was a reason I went to St. Joe to get a better education, supposedly.
Education, yeah.
And you too, Steve, that was understandable. You were right there with your parents. That
was the thing. Which, and again, this is, and again, during our time, and St. Joe was the only integrated school technically in the Forest Hill, I guess.
Yeah, you couldn't go to Jackson Prep or
couldn't go to Jackson Prep, couldn't go to
No, sir.
Do you believe that?
No.
We actually couldn't go to the school because we was black?
Couldn't go.
That's crazy.
And I'm Jimmy, you know what blows my mind? And I'm glad because we moved from that.
Yeah.
You know, there black kids that go there now, and I got friends of mine from St. Joe that came like, they go to prep, they go to J. I'm like, it's not, it blows my mind. But to understand what you're saying is that's what your parents understood. But like I said, Jim, you got a business administration degree. I think people need to understand that too.
Yeah.
You don't play football. You have a business administration degree for Jackson.
Well, Steve, that's because mom was an educator. That's because Miss Etta Smith was an educator, so you know I had to bring in the grades. You know, so I remember rebelling a lot because my mom early on wouldn't even playing football at the Holy Family was my first time playing organized football because she wouldn't let me. She wanted me to be a 4.0 student. I used to rebel. I said, okay, Mom, since you're not going to let me play football, I'm not going to be a 4.0 student. So we know how that worked out.
She rebelled that belt.
Yeah. My daddy's belt.
Hey, listen, well, let me tell you, but what happened was Jimmy's daddy was our assistant coach for Coach Haygood. Your daddy was assistant coach. And I think that's how it kind of worked out. And once your mama saw how good you were on that field,
yeah. She just had to see one time. Steve. Yeah.
Hey, so let me tell you, I would tell you what's so funny again. And shout out to Kevin Dorsey. Kevin Dorsey was our quarterback.
Yeah, he was our quarterback. I was going to mention KD.
Whoa.
You got to mention Kevin Dorsey.
Kevin Dorsey played quarterback?
Man, he threw me my first touchdown pass against St. Teresa, man.
Dude, I had no clue Kevin Dorsey even played football.
Man, Kevin Dorsey was like a Michael Vick at quarterback.
Listen. Bro, listen, I'm trying to tell you, when I say we was like that, we was like that because we were.
Hold on. Let me make sure we talk about the same Kevin Dorsey. Green-eyed Kevin Dorsey.
Yeah, green-eyed Kevin Dorsey, man. The whole family pretty. The whole Dorsey family pretty.
Shout out Ivory Joe Dorsey, man. Rest in peace. Yeah, man.
North Valley Kevin Dorsey.
Yeah, you see, I grew up in Northgate.
Yeah, Northgate. Yeah. Was it Northgate or North Valley?
Well, no, Valley North is next to
Valley North.
Valley North.
Yeah.
Kevin Dorsey stayed in Valley North, man. His whole shout out just for old school Jacksonville. So his daddy and his brother, the whole family was pretty. So the whole family, they were all pretty like that.
All
so they were known as the Dorsey. They was known as the Dorsey boy. Always had the girl, and Kevin fell right in like his daddy. So Kevin was all pretty.
Ivory Joe Dorsey.
Listen, but like Jimmy said, man, Kenny was our running quarterback, but Kevin was our throwing quarterback.
Yeah,
Kevin came in there, and these people like they're throwing the ball, bro. We ain't running up. What we doing, bro?
Yeah. I was playing tight end. I didn't remember, Steve. I didn't play wide receiver. I played tight end.
You played tight end, exactly. Yeah. We played double tight. Yep, sure did. And he playing tight end, running streaks. Jimmy probably had about 10 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns that season at least.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting up here. So and what was so funny, Coach Haygood would be like, all right, Campbell. All right, Smith. Don't let nobody get behind you. Man, like, can't nobody outrun us, Coach. Wait, we're not getting nobody get behind us. Ain't nobody outrunning us. Are you crazy? So we just look at that, man. It's just so funny. So, Jimmy, listen, I say that because, listen, so now I'm about to get to the part. Jimmy, I know you have business managers. I know you have, but I'm about to be your Hall of Fame agent right now. Because I prepared something to let these folks know.
I don't have no Hall of Fame agent.
I ain't got no Hall of Fame manager.
Yeah. You just created a job for yourself. Just created a job for yourself.
And listen, I don't even want 3%. I just want to be at the ceremony.
Well, so
hold on. Let me share my screen right here. So listen, y'all. Here we go. Let's get this thing. So listen, I'm a smart guy, and Jimmy, listen, we do this show. People know I'm well known internationally and local love. I've sponsored many HBCUs. I've been around it all my whole life, but I'm also a researcher.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break down a couple. So first of all, let's talk about why Jimmy stands out. More yards than Michael Irvin, Andre Reed, all Hall of Famers. More 1,000-yard season than Reggie Wayne, the time of his retirement, Hall of Famer. Top 10 all-time receptions when he retired. And I believe, Jimmy, I think that at this time there's only one person, maybe you that's not in the Hall of Fame at the top 10 at this time.
Right.
Top 11 all-time in yards. And did it without a Hall of Fame quarterback and on an expansion franchise. And I'm going to say this. The expansion franchise is important because, Jimmy, as you well know, you're in the NFL. Legacy matters. If you're a Cowboy, if you're a 49er, if you're a Bear, if you're a Green Bay Packer, that is so important. Now, mind you, you are the player, you and Tony Baselli and those guys are the best players, literally, and Fred Taylor, okay, I'm just naming guys.
Yes.
But you guys are top 5 players of all time in Jacksonville.
Yes.
So you didn't have that legacy. Go ahead, Zoe. Go ahead. I'm going to let you get your point. Go ahead.
I just want to make sure I say this clearly. There is no way on God's green earth that Sterling Sharp could be in the Hall of Fame and Jimmy Smith not be in the Hall of Fame. If you go back
was
to
good.
if you go back to Shannon Sharp's speech, because he spoke
Yeah.
for his brother on his Hall of Fame speech, and he said he posed the question to the Hall of Fame voters, and he said, if you could just look at my brother's stats from a 9-year window, that's all that I ask. Well, we could say the same thing for Jimmy Smith.
Yeah.
Because if you go at that time, yeah, Shannon Sharp had a great 9-year window, but Shannon Sharp was playing with Brett Favre, who was a 3-time MVP.
Sterling Sharp. Yeah.
No, Sterling Sharp playing with
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre, who was a 3-time MVP.
Yeah. Hall of
Jimmy
Fame
Smith,
quarterback.
and that's the thing that I was making. Jimmy Smith did everything that he did with
Without a
Mark
Hall of Fame.
Brunell. And this is no shade on Mark Brunell, but Jimmy
No,
Smith
not
didn't
at all.
play. He didn't play with the Brett Favre. He didn't play because if you look at the majority of the guys who went in before he retired, they all had a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Every last one of them.
You look at Andre Reed, you look at Jerry Rice, you look at Michael Irvin, you look at all those ones who came in before he did. They had a Hall of Fame quarterback. Jimmy Smith did what he did with Mark Brunell, and his numbers match up with Sterling Sharp, or if not better, in a lot of those metrics. He's better. He's best. Sterling Sharp in a lot of those metrics. So there's no way you can have Sterling Sharp in NFL. If you look at the metrics and look at the numbers, they matter. They are behind Jimmy Smith's numbers.
So that's why that's a great lead in, because as Jimmy Smith's Hall of Fame agent, Stephen Campbell, North Jackson's finest, I'm about to make a case for my client, and I'm gonna make a complete case. So let's just start off right. Number one, elite career production, top tier of all time. Like I say, at the moment he retired in 2005, Jimmy ranked number 7 all time in reception, 862, 11th all time receiving yards, 12,287, top 20 in receiving TDs at 6'7". But what does that do? Let me just tell y'all something. Like I told you, those rankings put ahead of multiple Hall of Famers at that time: Michael Irvin, Art Monk, Andre Reed, and Charlie Joint. And even today, those numbers still are just as great. So what? Okay, hold on, guys. Wait a minute. Blanked out for a second. Wait a minute. Am I still there? No. Hold on one second, guys.
I was about to sit there and say all 4 of those NFL receivers that you highlighted, they all had Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Oh yeah.
Just hold on one second. I'll be right back. Let me come right back in. Because see, Jimmy, this is what the man don't want the truth to be known. So the man trying to silent with. But like Jimmy, like you in the 9th grade, they ain't silenced at Campbell today. Hold on.
No way.
So that actually brings to my point. If you look at his numbers, you got to remember those numbers come in without him playing 3 years at the start of his career. So even if you don't have 3 all-time great seasons before your season starts in Jacksonville, let's just say that you had middle of the road stats, you still would have easily. So just imagine in those 3 years, you only got 20 touchdowns in those 3 seasons. Look what that does to your numbers and how high it puts you up.
Yeah.
If you look at those 3 seasons, let's just say that you have, let's say you had 100 catches in those 3 years. Look what that does to your numbers.
You can even go less than that. So you can go less than that, because those first 3 years I recorded no receptions.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You had 3 years where you didn't play at all.
Correct.
But I'm saying if you had those 3 years and you had middle of the road stats, look what that does to your numbers. How it helps them.
My overall number. Yeah.
Look at how much that helps you.
I mean, Jerry Rice's hip pocket.
I mean, look, it's like it ain't even funny. Like you actually, if you look at that, you're actually snipping at TO's numbers on receptions, and also look at what it does yardage wise. The only numbers that really get you to me is touchdowns. But again, if you got 20 touchdowns, now you're at I believe like 90 some touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Look what that number does for you. Like it's an open and shut case at that point.
But Zoe, when I reflect back during that time, and back in '96 when I first got on the field and started catching balls, I knew I had a lot of catching up to do. So it was no time for me to be getting hurt. No time for me to do this. What do you call it? NBA players be doing it. Management. What do they call it?
Load management.
Load management. A lot of players do that. I wasn't doing that because my first 3 years was my load management. So I had a lot of catching up to do. And I had a lot of people to go catch. So I really, I worked my butt off in obtaining those numbers.
So Jimmy, I'm gonna bring this back. So Zoe talked about Sterling Sharp, and remember, and Jimmy, you know this because you played. A lot of players get in because of dominant runs. You know what I mean? Because there are very few players that go from the beginning to the end and they're all pro every year. It's a point in time when they show they're one of the best players in the league. And this is what you did. So from 1996, 6-year peak is Hall of Fame level by any metric. 6 straight 1,000-yard season. Average 94 catches, 1,330 yards, and 6 TD per year. Now, this is, again, in the era where they're still running the football.
Yeah, we were a run-first team. Remember, we had Natron Means and Fred Taylor. So our game plan was run first.
So led the NFL in receptions in 1999, 5 Pro Bowls. Only during one name that only matches this is Marvin Harrison matches consistency. Now, but we got to go. But wait a minute. No disrespect, but we got to bring it up. Because who look good? We named the Brett Favre, the Steve Youngs, the Joe Montanas,
Jim Kelly,
like that. But guess what, though? They all in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Smith, Mark Brunell, hard player, played at the University of Washington. Saw him play. Byron Leftwich, shout out to Byron. David Gerard, we saw him. But none of these guys in the Hall of Fame. But see, Jimmy, I came prepared. I wanted people to see who they had. Look who Jerry Rice had. Look who Marvin Harrison had.
Yeah.
Look who Reggie Wayne had.
Wow.
Look at who Jimmy Smith had. And what did Jimmy just say? Without a generation core or a pass-heavy system.
Yeah.
See, I'm letting people know this is what you're talking about, dominance. Because a lot of people, and Jimmy, notice sometimes systems can make stats.
Yeah.
As you well know.
Yeah.
And especially now, we seeing guys, you know what I mean? And no disrespect to a lot of these guys is getting 1,800 yards, 120 catches. But these guys are not your physical talent, man. And with offense.
Well, what a lot of people discount or fail to mention is we played 16 games. These guys have an additional 2 games. When we talk about Mike Evans, there was somebody on Twitter making the argument that he had these big numbers, and he does have these big numbers, and he's a great receiver. But you got to keep in mind there should be an asterisk there because these guys have additional 2 more games to put up numbers.
Right. And you guys, when you all played, it was physical.
And they don't hit receivers over the middle no more.
No, they don't do that.
I had to go against Sean Taylor, Ronnie Lott, John Lynch, who knocked me on my behind several times. You know, we had to, Roy Williams from the Cowboys. These guys didn't play. They'll end your career at any time. So you had to know what you was doing. These guys don't have to worry about that in today's game.
So, Jimmy, I got to make the case. I got to let people know. First of all, you weren't just a regular player. You were the face of the offense.
Yeah.
In a league and in a conference that played defense.
Yeah.
You had to play against the Baltimore Ravens. You had to play against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
You had to play against teams that were defensive centric. And like you say, your biggest numbers, who did you put it up against? Greatest defense of all time.
Baltimore Ravens.
Listen to this. Also, again, a startup expansion franchise, 4 straight playoff appearances. And again, he was not the number 2, the number 3. He was the number 1 wide receiver on a team and was making Pro Bowl. So again, wasn't just productive, he was foundational. Now, Jimmy, we got, like I said, we always got to talk about moments. Don't put it out there. But see, I want to talk about, you talking about one game, but we got to talk about all these playoff games. Jimmy, in 7 games, you literally had a season of catches for some people, man.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Some people don't have this in the season, and these are big-time playoff against the best of the best.
Yeah.
108 yards in the 96 playoff run. And what did we just talk about? Outplayed multiple Hall of Fame DBs on the national stage. But you know what, though? And this is Jack State in him. He showed up when it mattered.
Yeah.
Now, listen. People want to say, you know what, but Jimmy, how long did he play? Hey, man, listen. I just told y'all he had 9 seasons with 1,000 yards. I just told you he had 7 seasons with 80 catches. And the boy played into his 30s because he said he had to play. He said he had his load management in the early part. So this is just the thing that we want to see. I want people to understand. So I'm gonna go back, just pull this right back up, because I think people need to understand this right here. Jerry Rice had Joe Montana, Steve Young, Marvin Harrison, Peyton Manning, and Reggie Wayne. Jimmy Smith had Mark Brunell, Byron Leftwich, and Dave Gerard. And what did he do with that? This is what Jimmy did right here. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's just go. Let's go here. 7th all-time reception, 11 all-time receiving yards. And then, like I say, you're going to tell me, to the people out there, this is not Hall of Fame worthy? Hey, man, listen, I'm like Johnny Cochran. If it don't fit, you must have quit, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I got to go Johnny Cochran on these folks, man.
Yes.
Because my thing is, what has bothered me about your situation, the biggest thing is you see the politics, and we just saw the politics just happened this past with Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have these arbitrary rules of how many people can get in and only certain amount of people
They're making it up as they go.
Just making it up as they go. It is crazy. To sit back and, yeah, I do see it. Because, we know the sports writers have controllers and things like that. But I'm his Hall of Fame agent. So you know what I'm going to do? This is what we're going to do. We're going to find out these people who we need to contact. And you know what I want y'all to do? Because I'm gonna package this up. We're gonna email these people, we're gonna tweet these people, and we're gonna have this binder like your mama had, Jimmy. We're gonna have a Hall of Fame binder right here.
There you go.
Because
that's a good take right there, Steve.
Brother, the fact of it is that you put in the work, and you deserve that honor. And for people to see you in the Black College Hall of Fame, which is outstanding. But this to me is the next step and the final journey of what you having that gold jacket on. But I just had to put something together because, man, one thing, like you say, Jimmy, folks got to understand, man, we went to HBCU, but we don't play around. We know how to put something together. We know how to put something together. Now, Jimmy, do you think I did a good job representing you on this?
Yeah, I'm very, very impressed with that research that you've done.
Hey, man.
Very impressed.
So, so I'm gonna bring this up. Shout out to EA. This is one of my rattlers. He said, Jimmy, do you know who the beat writer is who has to nominate you? And again, if you don't have to talk about it or whatever, but is there somebody we can contact that that is the guy?
Yeah, I have this information.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna get that. We're gonna
get it to you.
Because I'm gonna break this, to him. And again, I know a lot of folks, and I'm proud to know a lot of folks because, like I say, Jimmy, I have done a lot of things, worked with a lot of NFL. I had a sports agent, worked with a lot. That's how I met Kevin and all those guys and stuff like that, doing that thing. I know a lot of the Black sports writers. Matter of fact, I had a Black sports writer roundtable, and Stephen A. Smith and all them guys were there. So my thing is, we got to galvanize our community to support our own. Because trust me, if you was at Alabama, if you was at Texas, if you was at Florida, guess what they would do? They'd have letter writing campaigns. They'd be creating websites and things like that. So it is on us, and like I say, and yeah, I know Jackson supports you, but my thing is, it is important for players like you, Harold Jackson, guys like that, to get into the Hall of Fame.
See, Steve, you just said a mouthful right there. Creating a campaign like the rest of these guys have. They go to these Alabamas and Texas. We got to do that with our HBCU athletes. Create a campaign, a Hall of Fame campaign. First, with Harold Jackson, because he's more than deserving and it's way overdue. Get Harold Jackson.
Yes, sir.
And then me.
So Jimmy, so one of the things, man, like I say, me and you are, because this is gonna be one of my things, man, that and people know, Jimmy, let me tell you something. People know me. I make shit happen, excuse my language. And I believe this is something that's important. Because for the younger people, because people, Jim, everybody got a podcast now, and everybody think they know HBCU football, and everybody talks about it. I'm like, bro, listen, I know people that played this game, I know people that coach this game. You cannot tell me when I sit back and nothing against some of these guys that play at these different schools, but I know what a Hall of Famer looks like.
Yes,
I know what talent looks like, and on this screen for you young folks. This is one of the greatest wide receivers that have ever played football, all the way back when we were playing in the Catholic League, and he's always been dominant. So, my thing is, I'm super excited. So, Jimmy, I want to turn one thing, because, again, I know I don't want to keep it too late. I know you got to get down there with Jacksonville. Where do you see HBCU football going now in the future? Because, the NIL and guys are leaving and stuff like that. Where do you see us going, and where do you see where we can improve at?
Well, I think that improvement has been made as far as recruiting over the last several years, even though the NIL, I think there are pros and cons about it. There's some good things and some bad things. The good thing is that it's opened up recruiting for HBCUs, because there are guys out there that fall through the cracks. And now it seems like there's more freedom for them to move around and get that opportunity, whether it's through HBCU to use as a stepping stone to get an NIL deal to go on to bigger and better things. So there are pros and cons in today's game. And, the main thing I like is the recruiting, the exposure that the HBCU is getting now. Now, guys going to have to take it upon themselves to stay and develop. Sometimes all money ain't good money, but, if you want to go to the league, but keep in mind, there's probably less than 3% of the guys are going to go. But I think HBCU is in good hands, and I saw that last weekend, weekend before last, at the Black College Hall of Fame. Doug Williams and Shaq Harris put on an awesome event. Man, it was over the top red carpet event. I've never seen anything. It was elegant. I mean, it was just the best thing I've ever seen before or been a part of. So you got to give hats off to those guys for doing what they do for HBCU football. So I see it being in good hands. It gives guys out there that fall through the cracks an opportunity to get somewhere and play and develop and to further their careers.
Jimmy, I got this because this is in the chat. Now we got to get this Jackson State Tiger question in. Now you are all Century team. TC Taylor.
Correct.
What do you think about your Jackson State Tigers under Coach TC Taylor, and how do you see them going forward?
The main thing, I like the fact that, well, let me back up a little bit to what Prime brought to Jackson State with TV exposure, but it's the structure, the NFL structure that had been missing in HBCUs for a long time. And he doesn't talk about it, but that structure that he installed with meetings at this time, walkthrough at this time, another meeting at this time, meals at this time, come back for another meeting and walkthrough. That structure is what I struggled with when I came from Jackson State back in my day. So now those guys are on an NFL type structure, so it makes it easier for guys at HBCU to make the transition just by having that structure. So TC Taylor has done an outstanding job in maintaining that structure and keeping it intact.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something. We had Coach TC Taylor on the HBCU Coaches Corner, and and I teased him, about some of the records he had set at Jackson State, and I was messing with it. I said, "Now, Coach, I'm a little bit older than you, but you still ain't good, my boy TC, good boy Jimmy Smith and Tim Bardette, no boy." He laughed about that.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't far behind us though, so he remembers. And we both remember seeing him ball out at Jackson State too. He was an outstanding player.
Outstanding player.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, I'm gonna ask you this last question, and I'll let Zoe get you out of here. What is, because I think this is important, you're from Jackson. What was the one player when you played at Jackson State that you was excited to go up against, and what was the one team that you was like, man, across the field, we about to go to war?
Well, I would say it has to be Southern over Alcorn and Grambling. I got excited when I had a chance to go against Cornelius Williams. You remember, like Zoe said, we lost to them, in '89. I think it was it our homecoming though?
It was homecoming.
And that broke the streak, didn't it? That was the game that broke the streak.
That was the game that broke the streak.
It was a big loss, devastating loss to the program
because they weren't good.
I didn't get a chance to play that much. I remember pacing the sideline a lot that game. I don't know why I wasn't in the lineup, but I do remember in '89 when Aeneas Williams picked that ball off from Sean Gregory. Sean was throwing to one of the running backs out of the backfield to a flat route, and Aeneas Williams came up that cover 2 and he picked it in slow motion. I was like, golly. But that next year, I was ready. I was ready to get out there and get some of Aeneas Williams because he was considered a top first, second round pick coming out of Southern. And it was my junior year, and I was like, boy, I'm gonna eat his lunch. And hats off to Aeneas. He's my friend. And he'll tell you, man, on every level since that night in Southern, I've faced him. It's been ugly for him. It's been real ugly for him. I caught
how
2
many
touchdowns.
times did you? And I mean, you might have known, but
no, man, I played against him.
You saw him in the NFL. Did you gotta
saw him
say,
in the
hey,
NFL. I have to tell this story.
You got that work.
I regret it. We were playing when he was at Arizona. I caught like a hitch route against him and took it for like 64 yards. And then the next series, he came up to press, and I accidentally stuck my finger in his right. I want to say it's his right eye, which he can barely open now. I see him on social media a lot recently, and I'm like, man, I can't believe I accidentally poked him. His eye is damaged for life. If you see him, you'll see him. He can barely open that eye, and it was because I accidentally was trying to beat him off the line and stuck my finger in his eye. But that game, I caught a hitch route for about 62 yards, and then I faced him in the Pro Bowl and caught 2 touchdowns on him. So he hadn't had a fun time.
The real Pro Bowl.
The real Pro Bowl, where Sean Taylor would knock out that kicker. We were hitting back then. But I was fortunate enough to catch a couple of touchdowns on him in the Pro Bowl. So he hadn't had two fun memories of going against me.
Man, I just want to ask you. I know we mentioned that. Look, that game is a highlight for me, right? Because I remember vividly being at that game. But and it may be the same answer for you, but I just want to know.
I can't hear, guys. Can you hear?
Yeah, I hear you. I was gonna say, can you hear me? Can you hear Jimmy? Steve, can you hear?
I can hear you.
Okay. I can't
Jimmy,
hear
you. You can hear me?
Yes, I couldn't hear Zoe.
You can't hear me now? You can't hear me? Go ahead, Steve. You can't hear me.
Okay. So with Zoe trying to figure out what's going on. But hey, man, listen, Jimmy, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna pull this back up one more time because I just think this is important. Because again, we're gonna let you get on out of here, man, and appreciate it, man. Once again, this is Sippin On Sundays, a special edition of Sippin On Sundays. Black College Hall of Famer, all century, JSU, and soon to be future NFL Hall of Famer Jimmy Smith joining us tonight, man. And Jim, I just want to pull this up one more time because I want people just to see this. My background, I don't know if you noticed, I had it as my background. And like I said, things that got so hot, but I want people just to see this one more time because I think this is just important. Your stats, because I think it's just important to know your level of greatness, man. And let me pull this up 1 second. See if I can get that up. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. Can you guys see that? Did that pull up?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. 5-time Pro Bowler, 12,000 yards. First of all, man, every time you touch the ball, it's 1st down and a half. Okay, I forgot about that part. Because I think, you know what, now, Jimmy, I think a lot of people don't understand how important that yard per catch is when you can move the chains and things like that. Now, that's something that's very underrated. And 69 touchdown, 862 yard, man. Just a major. Wait a minute, hold on now. This is one of your teammates. He said, what would you rather hear? 97F or red -00 in the game?
Ooh, wait, that 97 Mel. Who was that? That's my teammate. Who was that? I couldn't see who that was. Sound like Sean Gregory.
Now,
how
come
about
on,
the M1P, Sean Gregory?
Now, Jimmy, statute of limitation passed. Go ahead and tell them what those plays were. What was those plays there?
That 97 Mel was Tim Barnett he had a 9 route, and then I'm on the other side. I played flanker at the time off the ball, and I had a deep end route, dig route. And with Tim blowing the top off it, Sean was able to lay it in there real good, real nice and neat. A real nice handoff for me on that hash over the middle. The bread and butter play. M1, M1P were crossing routes with a tight end running like a seam route. I think we had 33 F flat or something like that, Sean. I know Sean probably on the chat.
Yeah.
Which were curl routes, I think. But we had a number system. It was pretty easy on the players. It allowed us to go out there and not think about what it was. Just like, you just had to, if you get caught thinking out there, chances are we weren't going to end up well. So we were able to go out there and play freely with that number system, which the Dallas Cowboys had a similar system when I went to the Cowboys.
Okay. Zoe, you got anything else before I close my boy out?
No, can you hear me now, Jimmy?
Jimmy, can you hear me?
I was just going to ask you, going back to Jack State. I know it may have been the Southern game.
Oh, you say
ask for me, Steve. So I was going to say it's probably going to be the Southern game. But what is your fondest memory of during your JSU career? What game and what opponent was your fondest memory?
Okay, well, I think he wants to know. He just wants to reiterate your fondest memory at Jackson State, Jimmy. Your fondest memory at Jack State overall.
Man, my fondest memory is catching them touchdown passes from Sean Gregory. I know he's listening in the chat down there in Southern against the Neves Williams. Man, that was a night to remember.
That is awesome.
Both on and off the field.
Well, Jimmy, man, listen, I want to tell you, man, brother, I love you, man. And just again, I glory to God that we're both still here, brother. You look like you go out there still run that 9 route with no problem and everything, man.
I could probably run 1 9 route, but after that, you probably have to come get me.
Hey, well, listen, man. Hey, man, I'm just gonna tell you, man, this has been a pleasure. And Jim, I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna have to do. I'm gonna listen. I talked to Sean. We're gonna have to do a round table. I'm gonna get a couple of cats, man, because Ricky Jones. I'm gonna get the Jackson cat. I'm gonna get the crew together.
Yeah,
and we're gonna do some talking.
That sounds good. We got a lot of stories to tell.
Got a lot, so I'm gonna get all them Jackson boys together, man. We're gonna talk, and man, we're gonna, right before the team, we're gonna do some predictions. Have you come on, a special contributor. I want people to know, man, football too now. Let's get a thing and stuff like that. I'm gonna go ahead and start your first take career right here with us on Sippin On Sundays, and you and Sean and Ricky and all those boys and stuff like that. But Jimmy, man, I want to thank you so much, man. The crowd is excited, man. We had a lot of people. This podcast gonna get a couple thousand views, and Jim, I'm gonna call you offline because I am dead serious. We're gonna put together this campaign, and we're gonna get you in the Hall of Fame. And I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Shout out to Sean Gregory for reconnecting us too, bro. I ain't seen you since Holy Family, since St. Joe. I don't know what it's been, but it's good to see you.
Honestly, the last time we saw each other, last time we saw each other, I would tell you, like, here's a funny story. So I was down at Essence Festival. I used to throw big parties. Yeah. I was walking down the street and you had a Molson. And I said, wait a minute, that Jimmy?
I had a Molson, a beer?
Yeah, a beer. You had a Molson.
Okay.
In your hand. And that's the last time I physically saw you back then at Essence Festival. That was a while back. And everything. And we talked everything. And then, like I said, I talked to you when I was down there at the Super Bowl. We threw a party with Michael Vick. And Pup called you on the phone. So we were at your spot and everything. And that's the last time we actually talked on the phone.
Y'all was at my condo.
Yeah, we were at your condo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know how I let Pup have my condo, man. I'm glad y'all took care of my condo for me.
We were just there just to observe. That's all we're gonna say.
Yeah, I know what kind of observer y'all.
And Jimmy was not there. Let's be clear, he was not there. So
no, I was not there. I don't know what was going on.
Not there.
Hey, you know where you got to scratch in their
I
head.
trust my guys with a $1.2 million condo. I trust my guys.
Hey, listen. Hey, so it was Super Bowl weekend, so I'm throwing one of the biggest parties. This is when Michael Vick came back. You know what I'm saying? So I got connections. So we got Michael Vick and Pup like, man, they had a party at the W, but John, he got a spot at the W. I said, well, hey, we just gonna post up there and get everything ready for the party. And all I know is he called Jimmy on the phone. I said, what up, boy? And Evan didn't know I knew you like that.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I said, man, that's my guy. Like, what you talking about, man? Come on. No, not Puffy. No, not Puffy. Michael Vick.
Kevin Smith, number 26 out of Texas A&M, first round for the Cowboys.
First round pick. Well, y'all in the same draft, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
That was your draft brother.
Yeah, that's my draft brother.
Yeah. No, not Puffy. Kevin Pup Smith, Texas A&M legend, cornerback, 3-time Super Bowl champ, Dallas Cowboy. That's my boy. And that's one thing we connect me and Jimmy again. So Jimmy, man, you know, we're gonna leave it just like that on stuff like that, man. But Jimmy, we appreciate you. I'm gonna hit you back up, man. Like I said, you know, we got a couple
for coming on, man.
Going on. I'm gonna talk to you about. So there's got to get that connection. And I appreciate you being on the show, man.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys. I
appreciate you, bro.
There is. Hey, Zoe.
Yeah,
Zoe.
man.
Don't Zoe. You didn't know I was a elementary junior high All-American, Zoe. He verified it. You didn't know that. See, a lot of people want to sit back and say, hey, man, listen, I was a bad boy. I was a bad boy.
And it's funny because I was going to tell you, you know, I tell you I grew up in Northgate. I was actually the first class at New Hope.
Oh, okay.
At New Hope.
Yeah.
But it's funny he got to talk about Holy Family. It just, for people who don't know, yes, like New Orleans, it's not there now. But like New Orleans, Jackson had a Catholic league. I mean, I think we talked about that one time, you know, and it was a thriving league. But it's funny because when you mention Holy Family, which, you know, the church is still going and and the crowd's still there, but the school, you know, everything's different. But it just goes to show you back a time of yesteryear, right? That I vividly remember. I was a shorty, but I remember it vividly because, again, North Jackson was thriving so much better than what it was now during that time. That's why I say the old St. Joe. If you're from Jackson, you know, up there on 49, the old St. Joe. And trust me, you had to leave. We joked about it before, but like I was going to tell Jimmy, yeah, you transferred, but you upgraded when you went to Callaway. St. Joe had them, and you know what I'm talking about. You got the Callaway. Callaway really had them, and you know what I'm talking about.
Well, listen, like you said, man, you know what was crazy? Like I said, Callaway was one of the powers in the state. And, you know, he had to go, you know what I'm saying, for all the right reasons. And again, man, those battles, Callaway, but I'm going to tell you something. The school, they used to give Callaway hell during that time, and they got good with Provine.
Yeah, oh yeah, but that was it. If you look at football, I've said this before. Callaway hasn't had the sustained success. Obviously, after I left, I graduated in '96. They've had a couple of good years, but the talent in the city kind of dwindled down as well. But the only two programs that had sustained success in football was Callaway and Provine. Provine made the state championship game 2 times under Coach Willie Collins, and Provine was a powerhouse. But at the same time, Callaway is the only school in the city to win state, the only one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now. And I tell you, it's so funny when you're talking about, man, that was just a heyday, man. Football, like I said, we talked about basketball with Murr. Like I say, my cousin DC Darren Chancellor, Callaway, they went to the state. They played against Chris Jackson. Couldn't.
They made Darren Chancellor your cousin.
Listen. So let me tell you something. Chancellor, you remember we talked about them Brelands? Mm-hmm. Chancellor, that Breland clan. His dad, his mama is a Breland.
So his dad, Coach Chancellor, coached me at Powell.
Yeah, coach forever at Powell. Mm-hmm. Coach forever at Powell. So, yes, that is my cousin.
That's crazy.
And his dad, like I say, man, awesome person. And, man, would come over there because when my granddaddy died, he'd be like, Ella, man, come over there and check on the Cadillac. And
let me tell you something. It's funny because when I even think about Coach Chancellor, all I think about the long ass wood paddle, him tearing some ass up.
Oh, bro, yeah, that was crazy, man. That was like, damn, they get paddle over there and Powell. They're like, yeah, like what?
That's all I remember, dog. He used to tear some ass up with that paddle, bro.
Man, listen. So I'm just like, you know. So listen, we got a few more. So you got a few more things, or we got to get up out of here. I want to see if we go a few things, like 3 things, but you let me know. If not, we'll do it next week.
Let's go a few things, man.
Yeah, no, I got, because this is kind of interesting. I wanted to bring up. It happened with the SWAC in the basketball tournament that they're cutting the guys down. So I want to bring this up real quick because I thought this was kind of important. That the SWAC, they let all 12 teams come in, but now though they cutting it down to 10. But this is pretty interesting. They're going to give the 1 and 2 seeds the double buys.
Yep.
So once again, SWAC basketball is changing the playoff format again, and the latest move will reshape the path to the NCAA tournament for the HBCU conference. The Southwestern Conference announced that its men and women's basketball tournament will move to a 10-team format beginning in 2027. The change comes after 1 year the league expanded its tournament field. Now the SWAC is pulling back from 12 to 10 while giving the top regular season finish a much bigger reward. The new model was recommended by a SWAC basketball working group made of head coach and administrators. The conference said the group will continue to study overall viability. So let's talk about the format. Let's get right to it. Under the revised format, the top 2 seeds in both men's and women's bracket will receive buys directly into the semifinal round. That means the 1 and 2 seeds will need just 2 wins to capture the SWAC tournament title and the league's automatic bid. Seeds 3 and 4 will advance directly to the quarterfinal round. Seeds 5 and 8 will see buys, and the tournament will open up first round featuring 8 to 9 and 7 to 10. The winners of those games will move on to face 5 or 6, and that's where the bracket's tight. The number 4 seed will face the winner of 5, 3 will make 6, 7, 5. The 1 seed will face the winner from the 4 side. So again, that's the 4-5 winner. The 2 seed will be from the 3 side, 3-6 winner. This sets up a clear incentive to finish at the top of the standing and also makes the path much harder for teams that finish at the lower half. So I like this, and I know Bethune-Cookman, which this would have happened a year earlier. I know Bethune-Cookman. What do you think about this? And does this, we like that the fact everybody got in, but I also thought way the tournament was laid out, it was long. And I thought now by them taking a day, I like this. And also, you know what I like about this too? It's kind of like with the NBA now, they don't want people to tank. If you're down at the bottom, you're going to keep trying to play. So if you're playing those bottom teams, they've got something to fight for, because now they ain't got to say, well, I'm just going to be in the tournament anyway. We'll just, let it play out. What do you think about that?
I mean, the only thing I see in this is making an easier pathway if you win the regular season. So what this does is put more onus on the regular season, which is what it should do. And I think it makes an easier pathway for whoever wins the regular season to automatically get to the championship game, but also have less resistance if you win the conference tournament going into, whether it's the play-in or, to straight to the NCAA tournament, because you need all your bullets. I really think that's the only thing for this. But the main thing in this is that it gives more oomph and onus to the regular season, which is what it needs to do. Because now every game, not that it did last season, but it heightens it now to where every regular season game matters. It truly, truly does. Because now you may not necessarily be trying to win the number 1 spot, though you are. That number 2 spot is coveted as well. And so, if you're in the thick of the season, if you're not going to get that number 1 spot, you're going to have a lot of teams fighting for that number 2 spot. And so now you're going to have competitive games going down to the last game of the regular season, because from the week 1 of the conference slate, you're jockeying for position. And so by doing so, it makes every game valuable, so that's the benefit of it. But I think from the postseason standpoint, Steve, it's just going to highlight to make the postseason play easier for the 2 seeds. I mean, very, very easier for them. So again, less resistance, less wear and tear that can give them more, credence to have a greater showing, whether it's the play-in game or in the NCAA tournament.
Well, I like it because, and shout out to Prairie View, shout out to Southern Jaguar girls making a great run. But in theory, and I think this also, and they'll never admit this, they believe that this will also help the best team based off the course of the season get to the NCAA to make a run. And like I said, there's nothing against what Prairie View did, because you still can make your run. You still can make your run, but for the number 1 seeds, I think this is just going to allow them to be able to get to it. But what I will say to this, and what I think will be interesting, is that their first game could be against a team that's already played twice, which would be very interesting. Because again, guys got their mojo, and then and now there's the pressure again. We gotta win this game, and these guys have already played. No one winning like on that floor. So it's going. I think it's 6 and 1 and half dozen the other. I really like it. I think that's a good job, and I think just for the layout, because I think what also happened for the swag, I think the term is too long, and I think if you could compress it, you can get more people to come to multiple games. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Because really, I want more people. Because I'm telling you something. Because that arena is right size. And if we could really get 4 teams, like we have a doubleheader, and you get the 4 teams in there and everybody's going crazy, you really could have a great atmosphere. I've been the last 2 years. I think it's been the last 2 years it's been in Atlanta. It's been amazing. And shout out to, SWAC Commissioner, Dr. McClellan, which you need to come on this show, Sipping on Sundays. Come on, McClellan, we know you're watching. We know your boys watching. See, we still doing a good job over here. Come on over here, holler at your boys. So, last thing before we let you go. Jackson State and Tennessee State, bro. Y'all almost didn't know where y'all were going to play at. But they Tennessee State figured it out.
Oh, no, we knew. We knew what it was. I mean,
Jackson, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, man, we knew what it was. And I'm going to be honest. I'm even more happy that the game is relocated. I'm anticipating a better game, a better atmosphere at Vanderbilt. Matter of fact, the very last time we played them in Memphis, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we played them at Vanderbilt Stadium. I don't think we played them at the Hole the last time we played them.
No, you played them at Vanderbilt. Yeah, you didn't play. Yeah, you didn't.
I would say we played them at Vanderbilt the last time we played them in Nashville. But now with the game relocating to Vanderbilt, it's going to be an amazing atmosphere. You're talking about, if not a sellout, Steve, right at it, because again, Vanderbilt Stadium holds 37,500. So now you're talking about if you get 35,000 fans there, you see what I'm saying? That's going to be an amazing energy, amazing turnout. And Vanderbilt Stadium has been remodeled. It looks good. It's going to look amazing to see all that blue and white in that stadium. And trust me, Jackson State fans are coming to take over Vanderbilt Stadium to turn it into, the Vet North up in Nashville. Tennessee State gonna bring some fans, but man, Jack State is coming. This game is going to be amazing. The energy is going to be there. It's going to look amazing on TV, more so than it would have over at Nissan Stadium. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it, Steve. Man, can't wait. Look, we got 3 weeks left? No, 2.5 weeks left in June. We're about to be in July. Man, Swag Media Day coming up, and that game is literally the last Saturday in August. I cannot wait. We're counting down. We're getting close. I think we're under 100 days, bro. So we're talking about. I think we're about like 82, 83 days away from kickoff. Man, I can't wait. This game is going to be. I'm telling you, it's going to have everything the HBCU ball needs in that stadium.
So like I say, it is the John Merritt Classic. And the coach honoring the late great John Merritt, who coached both at Jack State and at Tennessee State. So it's going to be at Vanderbilt, like I said. And I'm glad the game is on Saturday and move it sometime. It might be on Friday. No, we don't need that. On Saturday. And like they said, the Tennessee Titans got a preseason game against the Bears. So they were like, you know what? I don't know if they figured that out. Who didn't know? But the bottom line is, I'm like Zoe. I have been to Vanderbilt Stadium. I have been in an SEC game in Vanderbilt Stadium. I think this is the perfect place to play this game. And I think where it's located in the city, I think it's also a better location also for everybody. So now I think this is going to be really great, man. I like the fact that, Jackson State is going back to Nashville. I think that's important for HBCU football. Again, because Tennessee State, again, they've been in OVC, but Tennessee State got to play Jackson State. So point blank bottom line. That's just a game that's just got to happen in HBCU spaces. And I'm super excited that Jack State and Tennessee State is going to get back together. And again, John Merritt, just to say, racked up a 14-4 record and one record at Vanderbilt, including a 20-3 win over defending FCS champion. Oh, beat us up there. Okay. See, I knew that, but that's all right. We got Tennessee State. We'll pay that back. But also, this will be the 4th time the Tennessee State Jack State meet Vanderbilt. Jack State won the first meeting 34-20 in 1978, followed by 20-0 and 21 nut shutouts in 80 and 82. Tennessee State holds the all-time advantage, 30-23-2 against Jack State. This will be the first time Jack State and played in Nashville since the 64 to 33 Tennessee State victory in 2001. So man, a lot of history there and everything. And I think people, like you say, I already saw all my Jackson State folks. That's one of them ones they like, oh, we at Nashville. We deep in there. We gonna make it happen. So yeah, I think that's awesome, man. So I think that's really good. And yeah, and look at Penn State. Hey, you know what? I just like this guy. Hey man, shout out to you being here. It is small. It is more intimate. It is going to be amazing. Hey, EA, listen. Let's understand something. Until Vanderbilt started getting that NIL money, that's the only thing they needed in that stadium was less than 35,000 because they wasn't even getting 15, 20,000. I remember there was a game a couple of years ago, so I think you might remember it might have been like 7,000 people when they played Alabama. So crazy. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a big name school. It was like 10,000 people in the stadium. So, but now, you know, they got the NIL rolling. Now they showing out like Indiana a little bit. So, you know, kind of doing good. So, hey man, this was one of those shows that the reason why I did Sippin On Sundays, especially with you. I want to thank you, Zoe, because, man, you know, just bringing the energy and how we partner together, man, is awesome. What do you think about having our North Jackson brother Jimmy Smith on the show tonight?
Man, it was dope getting Jughead on, man. Like I said, man, I was just real spill. I was a fan as a shorty, growing up in, like I said, North Jackson. And knowing I was always going to Cali, I was in Cali District, and you know, I gotta tell you, I'm a Gen Xer, so I was a latchkey kid too. But at the same time, when I through elementary school, junior high, like all my friends had older siblings, way older. Yeah. So that's why I know C.B. Samuel, know Naughty, you know what I'm saying? You know, Eddie Johnson, man, Kenny Brown. I know so many people that were way older than me, you know what I'm saying, because of just how I was back then. So that's why I started following Callaway ball, you know, time. Now I wasn't familiar with Provine and everybody else, but I just kept up because of the area I grew up in. And Callaway was loaded. And again, going to the games, like I said, man, all you hear on the intercom, CB Samuel, Naughty, you know what I'm saying, LA, you know what I'm saying. And before then, like I said, Jimmy Smith. I mean, so many other guys, man. I meant to ask you too if you knew man, Robert Kelly, I just drew a blank, man. Maurice Hogan. Man, see, I'm telling you, man, I knew so many people that were older than me just from being in Northgate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why I kept up with Callaway long before I got there. And so, like I said, going to the game, man, watching Jimmy, watching those guys, man, be dogs. Until the time I got to Callaway, and again, I played, Callaway played myself, and so I played wide receiver, free safety. So just being back there, remember it, man. But it was dope, man, to go back into a time. I remember that Southern game, like I said, beating Southern 42-0 to half. Look, I was at that game for homecoming, and look, I'm gonna tell you, I was a kid. You gotta say it's 1989. I was 11 years old. I was born in '78, so I'm telling you. And I remember being at that game crying. I remember it like it was yesterday. And Jared Kimmel was the coach of Southern, and they were not good that year. And they came in to beat Jack State to break our record, and Jack State fans were pissed. And so I always tell people it was this game that sparked the fire for the JSU Southern game to really turn to what it is today.
That's facts.
So that's the game that ignited this Jack State Southern rivalry, right? And we always played Southern on odd years in Jackson. And so we headed down to the next year. We were favored to win the SWAC, and we went down there and put a slacking on them, bro. 42-0 at the half. I would never forget it. I also remember, man, the players laying on the ground, you know what I'm saying? They got the shooting outside the stadium. You know what I'm saying? The players laying on the field, you know what I'm saying, during the game. I remember all that, bro. And so just remember Jimmy and Sean Gregory going off that game. And yeah, bro. Yeah, man. So it was cool. It's always good to reflect and go back to yesteryear, just when I get the chance to talk to him.
Well, so, man, like I told you, man, me and Jimmy go way back, man. Of course, I've always followed what he's done, man. Like I say, proud of him, man. And like I say, and you know what? Let's just say one more thing. Shout out to Black Mamas.
Yeah.
Only a Black mama would do exactly what's that. Hey, bro, you going to take a binder and you going to let these folks know who you are. And not only that, she's a teacher. Because you know the binder, a teacher. Now, this is before, I got people that say, this is before the internet now. Y'all got to understand this. This is not prime internet. Windows 95, it just came out. You know what I'm saying? She might have hand typed that, Zoe, and put that thing together. You know what I mean? on a word processor to put that out there for her son to use as a foundation to become a legend at Jacksonville Jaguars, man. It just, shout out to Miss Smith, man. That is just, just awesome and stuff like that, man. But so I'm gonna tell you something. It don't stop. No, so let me ask you a question, because next week is Father's Day. We need to take Sunday off for Father's Day, which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So we'll see.
And speaking of which, too, man, shout out my baby girl, man, my mini me, man, Kaylee Phillips, dog. We had a tough day yesterday.
Yeah.
Laid my grandfather down to rest, man, my last living grandparent, and she was there for her daddy. So give a shout out to my baby, man.
That is awesome. So yeah, so we'll take that Sunday off. We'll see me and Zone come back maybe Monday or Tuesday. We'll figure out, see how our schedules look, because I'll tell you what, it don't stop. Because I keep trying to tell you, so I know folks. So the and we're gonna talk about this next week. The New York Knicks. I was rooting for the Spurs, but the New York Knicks won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple of my folks that's old school Knicks that know a little something, want to talk a little sports, and I might have an old school Knick come on with us, Zoe, to talk about how those Knicks roll. So y'all be on the lookout for that.
Okay.
Like I said, we're gonna bring might not be HBCU centric, but just to let people know the connections that I got. So I'm working on that, bring that on, man. And listen, man, we got a lot of great things coming up. Like Zoe said, football season right around the corner, man. We're gonna keep the Sunday thing going, man, and stuff like that. Shout out to Rocky, shout out to Scotty, Off Script channel, Rocky Miller channel. Please hit the like.
Shout out to Scotty, man. Shout out to Scotty, shout out to Rocky.
And doing it and stuff like that, man. But like I said, we holding it down, and like I said, we're gonna get Perry back on, and like I say, Mike Reed is coming back, man. So the channel's gonna stay strong and everything, man. And I'll tell you what, because of little politics, we did a great interview with Coach Chandra Cheeseborough, 1984 Olympian, Tennessee State track coach. That is one of the best HBCU interviews. You're gonna have to catch it on the Rocky Miller channel. But I'm telling y'all, if y'all want to learn and listen to some HBCU talk and some greatness during that era, go over to the Rocky Miller channel and check out Coach Cheeseborough interview. And shout out to N.O. Joe. I don't know if N.O. Joe is out there listening, because he did a donation, because we were doing a fundraiser, me. So I got to raise that money. And shout out to N.O. Joe, was one of the people that sent money to the Tennessee State track team. So yeah, we got listen. Yeah, listen. We're gonna keep this thing going. I got some heavyweights. We're gonna bring some folks talk some good stuff. But Zoe, you know what, man? Once again, I appreciate you, man. Thank you all for watching Sippin On Sundays on the Off Script channel and the Rocky Miller channel. And we always got to ask the question, what you out there sipping on? Y'all have a good night.
Yes, sir.